Every morning, millions of people reach for a chemical compound. Some call it liquid gold and others coffee. Some drink it in a cup, a can, or a bottle. And the thing is, we don't view it as a luxury, but as something that you have to have just to participate and keep up with modern life.
As delicious as the best cup of coffee you ever have brewed.
It will taste as good as it smells. Enjoy the rich, fresh taste.
In just one generation, coffee has moved from being something that you kept in the pantry to something that you absolutely need in your life. Something as important in our lives and essential as electricity and Wi-Fi. And when you run out of coffee, your day collapses. When prices rise, you pay anyways. When we run out, our day falls apart and we cannot function without it. When the price goes up, we complain and yet we still pay. Coffee prices rose by roughly 15 to 20% over the last few years due to inflation and climate change, but the demand is still very much the same. This isn't a story about weak discipline or personal failure. It is a story about systems that work exactly as designed. By blending a pharmaceutical stimulant with routine, ritual, and social acceptance, the global stimulant economy has created a product that quietly shapes your money, your health, and your time. You are also now being powered by a system built to keep you moving at a speed your biology was never meant to sustain. When coffee first became part of the Western working life, it was purely functional. During the Industrial Revolution, it replaced beer and cider, which workers had previously consumed throughout the day. And employers welcomed coffee because coffee made workers alert instead of sluggish. It didn't make them comfortable, it didn't make them happy, instead it made them productive. And that early coffee was bitter, cheap, and practical. People drank it to stay awake on factory floors or to maintain focus behind desks. Nobody cared about flavor profiles and nobody asked about origin stories or roast notes. Nobody expected comfortable seating or carefully selected music. Coffee wasn't about the experience, it was about fuel. But that version of coffee, the plain roasted bean, it's hard to profit from because anyone can make it at home for pennies. And you can't charge premium prices for something that's easy, boring, and widely available to pretty much everyone. So if the industry wanted to grow, it had to change what coffee meant. Coffee stopped being a tool and became an experience. Then it became a habit and eventually was ingrained in your lifestyle. The modern coffee industry is incredibly profitable because it successfully separated the product from the bean itself. Today, the most popular coffee drinks in America don't actually taste like coffee anymore. Instead, they taste like sugar. Large chains have engineered drinks that contain more calories than a full meal and more sugar than a bottle of soda. Financial reports show that these drinks make up the majority of revenue, and plain black coffee is pushed to the bottom of the menu, priced low, barely promoted, and mostly used as a base for add-ons. And this shift, it didn't happen by accident. It happened because companies studied human behavior. They learned that caffeine wakes you up, but sugar keeps you coming back. And caffeine blocks tiredness, sugar activates dopamine, and together, they create a habit that feels deserved instead of compulsive. You don't think you're addicted, you think that you earned it. You worked a long shift, and taking care of the kids was exhausting, and the news is overwhelming. So therefore, you need coffee. And that is the single internal justification repeated millions of times every hour. It fuels a multi-billion-dollar industry built on blurring the line between biological need and commercial wants. And you've probably heard phrases like diabetes in a cup and brushed them off as an exaggeration. It sounds dramatic, alarmist, and designed just to scare you. But the data paints it in a very different picture. One large flavored coffee, the kind many drink from before noon, can contain more than 80 grams of added sugar. For example, a Starbucks Venti Caramel Ribbon Crunch Frappuccino contains roughly 62 grams of sugar, and that is more than 3 glazed Krispy Kreme donuts. And for comparison, the American Heart Association recommends no more than 36 grams per day for men and 25 grams for women. That means in a single 15-minute sitting, you can effectively triple your recommended daily sugar intake before you have even eaten lunch. And how you consume it matters just as much as what's in it. Because you don't chew a latte. You don't slow down to process it as you would a piece of fruit or a starch. You drink it quickly, often while driving or staring at a screen. This is what modern coffee looks like. And here's the part that really makes it into advertising. It's that plain black coffee actually has real health benefits. Study after study links it to lower risks of certain cancers, slower cognitive decline, and reduced overall mortality. However, the moment you transform that medicinal drink into a liquid dessert with heavy creams, synthetic syrups, and whipped toppings, all those benefits evaporate instantly. You are taking a powerful health promoting plant and turning it into a metabolic liability. And you don't notice it because of the drink. It still looks like coffee. You don't question it, and it still feels like you're being productive. And the stimulant economy survives because it embeds itself into your identity. You don't describe yourself as a sugar consumer or a caffeine addict. Instead, you call yourself a coffee person. And that distinction, it matters. Once a habit becomes a part of who you are, you stop evaluating it objectively. Instead, you defend it. You justify the cost, and you stop asking what it's doing to your body or your finances. And brands understand the psychology pretty well. They're selling you identity. Your exact order is meant to say something about you. Your milk choice signals your values, and the design of the cup signals your aesthetic taste. And you carry that branded cup through the office or grocery stores like a badge. It signals busyness and that you're competent. And this is where consumerism becomes pretty dangerous. Nobody forced you to buy the coffee. In fact, you chose it. And because each choice feels small and just harmless, you don't see how thousands of those choices quietly shape your life and your future. And all of this stems from our reliance on coffee, sugar, and just needing to look like we are successful. And to really understand the liquid gold trap, you have to ask yourself a much bigger question. Why do we need this much stimulation just to survive the day? And a lot of it has to do with us living in what we call an exhaustion economy. It's where work bleeds into nights through phones and emails, living costs more, so people stack side hustles, and the attention economy never shuts off. Sleep is treated like a weakness instead of a biological requirement. And instead of fixing these problems, we're sold shortcuts. You don't need rest. Instead, you need a better blend of coffee. And coffee breaks exist not to help you recover, but because caffeinated workers produce more. And caffeine increases human throughput the same way machines increase factory output. And when coffee stops working, when your tolerance is so high that a double espresso barely keeps your eyes open, the market has stronger options ready waiting for you. The growth of the energy drink sector represents another phase of the stimulant economy. Brands like Celsius and Bang target younger demographics by using the language of fitness and performance. They use zero sugar labels to appeal to the health conscious, while upping the caffeine content to levels that would have been unthinkable just a generation ago. And they promise you metabolic health and fat burning. But again, all of this just creates a bigger and deeper habit in which your dosage increases and the daily spending just doubles. In all of this, the cycle of just drinking coffee, it drains your future wealth. A $7 drink doesn't feel dangerous, but buy it 250 times a year and that is $1,820. And add weekends, tips, snacks, and energy drinks, and many people quietly cross $3,000 per year. And if that same $3,000 annual investment or $250 per month were redirected into a simple index fund, returning a modest 7% APR, the transformation of that small daily choices is pretty life-changing for a lot of people. In 10 years, the habit would cost you $52,000. By year 20, that is $155,000. And by year 30, that is $358,000. And people often get pretty defensive about the math, calling it the latte factor, and that reaction just proves how deeply the habit is protected. And this isn't about guilt, it's about seeing a wealth transfer or even a wealth leak that happens $7 at a time. And the reason why coffee spending hides so well is because it doesn't feel like discretionary spending. Instead, it feels like normal maintenance and just a part of your life. And just like how we don't budget for the oxygen we breathe, and for many people, coffee feels nearly as essential for survival. And when prices rise as they have over the last few years, people complain about higher prices, but not many people actually change their habits. And it's also helpful to look at what you're actually getting for your money. Big coffee chains run on massive profit margins. So when you buy a coffee or a latte for $7, the actual ingredients, the beans, the milk, the sugar, usually cost the shop less than $1. You are essentially paying a 500 or even a 600% markup for some beans, sugar, and a mermaid logo. And this is one of the most successful marketing tricks in history, which is convincing us that a basic commodity is a luxury treat that we can't live without. But the good news is, you don't have to give up your morning caffeine. Just make it yourself. A high quality cup of coffee made at home costs about 50 cents. Even if you go out and buy a fancy $100 brewer, the machine pays for itself in just 2 weeks of skip drive-thrus. That means every single day after that is money that stays in your pocket. And brewing at home isn't about being cheap, it's about refusing to be the person paying for a corporation's executive bonus, one latte at a time. And finally, invest in yourself. Choosing water or a quick walk over a sugar energy drink is the ultimate high return investment. And that's it. Let me know what you think about caffeine and sugar and this consumer culture we live in. And if you enjoy videos like this blend of consumerism, pop culture, and finance, please leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any other videos. Thank you very much for watching. And as much as we rely on coffee and sugar, we also rely on food from restaurants. But more than ever, restaurants are expensive, empty, and dying. So check out the next video on why the death of dining out is bigger than you might think.